Welcome to Audio. I'm your host, and today we're diving into a powerful summary of desire, the starting point of all achievement by Napoleon Hill. This production is brought to you by Audio, where we transform the world's best books into immersive audio experiences. The audiobook motto for this work is simple yet profound. Hill's mission is to prove that the mind is a literal magnet, capable of pulling physical reality out of the ether of thought. He wants to convey to the world that success is not a matter of luck, but a structured psychological process that begins with a burning desire. In this first episode, we set the stage by exploring the foundational energy required to move from wishing to winning. Lean in for a moment. I want you to imagine you're standing on the platform of a dusty train station in New Jersey, back in the early 1900s. A man steps off a freight train. He looks like a drifter, clothes worn, pockets empty. But as he walks toward the laboratory of the world's greatest inventor, Thomas Edison, he isn't thinking like a beggar. He's thinking like a king. This man is Edwin C. Barnes, and he has traveled hundreds of miles not to ask for a job but to announce a partnership. This is where our journey begins. Most people see success as a finished product, a shiny car, a massive bank account, a corner office. But Napoleon Hill argues that these are just the physical shadows of a mental state. He calls it desire. But he isn't talking about a casual "I hope I get rich" kind of feeling. He's talking about a burning desire, an obsession so potent that it leaves no room for the possibility of failure. Think about the way we perceive the world. Hill shares a story about an Asian student at the University of Chicago who was asked what he noticed most about Americans. His answer: your eyes. To him, they looked different. We often judge the world based on our own limitations. We see the success of a Henry Ford or a Steve Jobs and we call it luck or genius. But Hill suggests that the secret is actually so simple that most of us walk right past it. Let's look at Henry Ford's V8 engine. This is a classic strategy play. Ford wanted to cast an 8-cylinder engine in a single block. His engineers, the best in the world, told him it was impossible. They had the data, the ROI projections, and the technical blueprints to prove it couldn't be done. Ford's response: produce it anyway. He didn't care about the current mindset of the industry. He stayed on that goal for a year, 6 months of failure, then another 6 months of nothing. And then, as if the universe finally yielded to his sheer willpower, the secret was discovered. Why did it work? Because Ford had magnetized his mind. Hill uses this term magnetization to describe a psychological phenomenon we now understand through neuroscience as the reticular activating system, or the RAS. Your brain has a filter. When you decide with absolute certainty that you want something, your RAS starts highlighting the people, the opportunities, and the resources that were always there but that you were previously blind to. Pause for a moment. Think about a goal you've had for a long time. Have you been wishing for it, or have you magnetized your mind toward it? There is a massive difference. Wishing is passive. It's a hope that the world will give you something. Desire is active. It's a demand that you will create something. Hill gives us a concrete 6-step strategy to turn this intangible desire into cold, hard cash. This isn't woo-woo philosophy. It's a business plan for the soul. Step 1. Be definite about the amount. Don't say "I want to be rich." Say "I will have $500,000. The brain needs a target, not a cloud. Step 2. Determine exactly what you will give in return. There is no such thing as a free lunch in the economy of the universe. What is your ROI to the world? Step 3. Set a date. A goal without a deadline is just a dream. Step 4. Create a plan and start immediately. Whether you feel ready or not, movement creates its own momentum. Step 5. Write it all down in a clear statement. And Step 6. Read that statement aloud twice a day. You have to see and feel yourself already in possession of the money. Now I know what you're thinking. That sounds like self-hypnosis. And you're right. It is. Hill is teaching you how to use auto-suggestion to reprogram your subconscious. Think of your mind like a garden. If you don't intentionally plant seeds of success, the weeds of doubt will grow by default. Let's look at a real-world example from our own time. Think of the founders of Airbnb. In the early days, they were so broke they were selling cereal boxes just to keep the lights on. Everyone told them that staying in a stranger's house was a crazy idea, but they had burned their bridges. They didn't have a plan B. They had a burning desire to make their vision a reality. They followed Hill's principles before they probably even knew they existed. They were money conscious before they had a dime. Here is a micro challenge for you. Tonight, before you go to sleep, don't just think about your goals. Write down the exact dollar amount you want to earn this year. Write down what you're going to do to earn it. Then read it out loud. Feel the paper in your hand. Feel the weight of the words. Now, I want to tell you a story that is deeply personal to the author. It's the story of his son, Blair. Blair was born without any physical sign of ears. The doctors said he would be a deaf mute for life. They said he would never hear a sound. But Napoleon Hill refused to accept that reality. He decided that his son would hear and speak. He didn't just wish for it, he made it a burning desire. He spent years whispering stories into the boy's jawbone, using bone conduction before it was even a recognized medical technology. He told Blair that his disability was actually a great asset. He planted the seed that being different would make him a super salesman. Imagine the mindset required to tell a child who can't hear that he has an advantage. It sounds like a lie, doesn't it? But Hill calls it a white lie that justifies itself. Years later, Blair found a hearing aid that worked for him. But he didn't just stop at hearing. He used his experience to help the manufacturer market the device to millions of other people. He turned his greatest liability into his greatest asset. He became a successful executive because his father refused to let him accept the limitations of nature. This leads us to the second step, faith. Hill defines faith as the head chemist of the mind. When you mix faith with a thought, your subconscious picks it up and transmits it to what he calls infinite intelligence. Think of faith like a lighthouse. A lighthouse doesn't make the storm go away. It doesn't flatten the waves, but it gives the captain a fixed point to steer toward. Without that light, the ship is at the mercy of the current. With it, the captain can navigate even the most treacherous waters. Hill explains that faith is a state of mind that can be induced. You don't just have faith, you build it. You build it through repetition. This is why the self-confidence formula is so vital. It's a series of affirmations that you repeat until they become your operating system. Let's talk about the ROI of faith. Look at Mahatma Gandhi. Here was a man with no money, no army, and no official position. Yet he moved 200 million people to act in unison. How? Through the power of faith. He transplanted his desire for a free India into the minds of millions. He proved that a single mind, magnetized by a burning desire and backed by faith, is more powerful than any military force on earth. Pause for a moment. Think about the last time you faced a major setback. Did you see it as a dead end or as a turning point? Hill argues that every failure carries with it the seed of an equivalent success. Think of the author John Bunyan. He wrote Pilgrim's Progress, one of the most famous books in history, while he was in prison. Or think of Charles Dickens. His first love broke his heart so deeply that it crushed him. But that pain drove him to write David Copperfield. He transmuted his sorrow into art. This is the strategy of the greats. They don't avoid pain, they transmute it. They don't avoid obstacles, they use them as stepping stones. Imagine your life is a block of marble. Most people look at the marble and see a heavy, cold stone. But the sculptor looks at the marble and sees the statue trapped inside. The sculptor's desire is the chisel. Their faith is the steady hand. Every strike of the hammer is a definite action. You are the sculptor of your own fate. But here is the warning. The law of autosuggestion is like electricity. It doesn't care if it's lighting your home or executing a criminal. If you fill your mind with fear and doubt, the law will translate those thoughts into their physical equivalent just as quickly as it will translate riches. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to have bad luck follow them everywhere? They lose their job, their car breaks down, and their relationships fail, all in the same week. Hill would say they are magnetizing their own misfortune. They are so focused on what they don't want that they are literally pulling it toward them. To change your result, you must change your input. You must become money conscious. This doesn't mean being greedy. It means saturating your mind with the desire for abundance so completely that you can see yourself in possession of it before it arrives. Think about the Wright brothers. They didn't have a government grant. They didn't have a degree in physics. They had a bicycle shop and a burning desire to fly. They failed thousands of times, but they didn't have a plan B. They didn't say, well, if this flying thing doesn't work out, we'll just sell more bikes. They burned their ships. Are you willing to burn your ships? Are you willing to cut off every possibility of retreat? Because that is the only way to maintain the state of mind known as a burning desire to win. Let's do a quick scenario exercise. Imagine you want to start a new business, but you're afraid of losing your steady paycheck. Using Hill's philosophy, how would you handle this? First, you wouldn't just wish for the business to succeed. You would set a definite amount of revenue you need to replace your salary. Second, you would create a definite plan. Maybe you work on it from 8 p.m. to midnight every night. Third, you would magnetize your mind by reading your goal aloud every morning. And finally, you would treat every failure as a lesson, not a reason to quit. This is how you become the master of your fate. This is how you become the captain of your soul. You have the power to control your thoughts. And because your thoughts attract your reality, you have the power to control your life. Hill reminds us that success requires no apologies. Failure permits no alibis. The world doesn't care about your excuses. It only cares about your results. And your results are a direct reflection of your desire. As we wrap up this exploration of the first 2 steps to riches, I want you to take one thing away. The starting point is always within you. It's not in the economy, it's not in your education, and it's not in your luck. It's in the white heat of your desire. In our next session, we're going to dive into the 3rd step, autosuggestion. We'll learn exactly how to reach the subconscious mind and give it orders that it cannot refuse. But for now, stay focused on your burning desire. Magnetize your mind. And remember, if you can see it in your imagination, you will eventually see it in your bank balance. That wraps up this episode. Join us next time as we continue our journey on Audeo, where we will explore the 3rd step to riches and learn the practical mechanics of autosuggestion. Until then, keep your desire burning bright.